So last class we have been discussing about direct step method, and the direct step method is used for the computation of gradually varied flow profile using for prismatic channel. What do you mean by prismatic channel? Prismatic channel is the one which has no variation in the cross section of the channel. So cross section of the channel is maintained uniform throughout the reach. So in that case, you'll be able to determine the corresponding. What do you want?
अरे वो दे दो ना आउट यार, वो थोड़े दे दिया आउट.
What is there? Who is talking? Any problem? Shall I continue or?
Continue.
Okay. Then so the screen is visible to you, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, okay. So in the direct step method, which we use, actually has just a minute. Check. Okay. So this is used basically for prismatic channels. So what do you mean by prismatic channel? When the channel has uniform cross section. When the cross section is uniform, you have prismatic channels. When the channel is non-prismatic, what do you mean by non-prismatic? When natural channels are non-prismatic channels. What do you mean by natural channels? The cross section of the channel is not going to be uniform throughout the reach. Suppose I am taking two sections, 1 and 2. Between the length of the reach is, let us take L. Between the length of the reach, if the cross section at, say, suppose I am taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sections. All these sections, if the cross section remains uniform, wherever you take, if the cross section remains uniform, then that represents the prismatic channel. But natural channels, the cross section may not be uniform. At one place, the slope may be different. At section 2, the slope may be different. At section 3, the slope or depth may be different. So suppose 3, 4 different cross sections if I have, then I cannot use this standard step method for non-prismatic channels. Then what I can do for non-prismatic channels? I can go for what is called standard step method. That is, what is that procedure you are going to follow the standard step method? So the standard. What do you want, Ma? Is it? Are you able to see?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then what else, sir? Just a minute. So when the cross section is going to be different, so the problem of computation of GVF profile for natural channel can be given the cross-sectional information of two different adjacent sections, suppose section 1 and section 2 of two adjacent sections, and the discharge at one section, say here the state at section 1. Okay, here Q is known and the sectional information is known. Then you need to determine what is the stage at other section. Y1 is known, Y2 you need to find out, and that will lead to you the GVF profile. So suppose I have section like this, n number of sections, your discharge remains same, assuming that there is no inflow from outside. Hello, சொல்லுப்பா கிளாஸ்ல இருக்கேன், என்னப்பா என்னாச்சு? ம் 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 சரி, ஓகே. எனக்கு அந்த அன்னைக்கு விழுந்த பொண்ணுக்கா? எந்த டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்? சரி, ஓகே. ஏதாவது ப்ராப்ளம்னா சொல்லுங்க, பேசுகிறேன். நான் பேசுகிறேன், இன்னைக்கு டீன்ட்ட பேசிட்டு சொல்கிறேன். So suppose I am having 10 sections across the range. So I know my Q at section 1. Y1 is known and Y2 I am able to find out. If I am finding Y2 at the section 1, section 2, then that shows that the for the natural channels. This is for the natural channels or for prismatic channels. Similarly, if you take section 3, Y2 is known, Q is known, other cross-section informations of section 2 is known. Okay, section 2 is known. Then you can find what is Y3. Similarly, for Y4, Y3 is known, Q is known. You are going to find out Y4. So I keep on by finding my depth of the profile all along the reach till the profile is completed. Okay, so this is the way I which I can find out my GVF profile. So this is the method what we are using is standard step method. So earlier you have, what was the difference between the standard step and this thing? Earlier what you had is you know what are the depth. You will be as you are dividing the entire depth into some intervals. Say suppose I have section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5, section 6, section 7. I am dividing all the sections, say why your whatever the depth of the flow, suppose Y1 to Y7 or Y8, and in between, because you know what was the control at the downstream. So when the control is known to you, you'll be able to find out what is the normal depth at this point and this point. Then dividing the normal depth into uniformly with some intervals. Say 3 meter means 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4 up to 4.5 meter. Like this, you will be dividing the depth, and the only thing is you found out what is your delta x. What is the distance between the neighboring sections? So with that you will be able to find out, you will be able to draw the profile. Am I right? So this was the which we have done previously using for the prismatic channel using direct step method by using the same differential equation for gradually varied flow. But if you take standard step method, you are taking two adjacent sections, and with that sections you are going to find out the neighboring depths Y2, Y3, Y4, Y5, Y6, Y7. Like that you are going to find out the neighboring depths. Okay, that was the difference between the standard step and the direct step method. Okay, now what is the procedure? How we are going to do? This is the how we are going to use the standard step method. Then we will see step-by-step procedure for carrying out the same. General brief outline of the standard step method is what we discussed. Now how we are going to discuss the procedure. So this solution of this problem we are going to find out by trial and error solution of this basic energy equation. So we know that, consider section 5, 1 and 2. I'll show you the P picture, then we'll come to later. You can see the figure. So here, section 1 is known. This is section 1. This is section 2. This is a natural channel. And section 1 is at the downstream side. And section 2 is at a distance of delta x. This is going to be your delta x. And calculations are assumed to be proceed towards the upstream. Okay. And equating the energy equation, which you know, Z2 plus Y2 plus alpha 2 V2 square by 2G is equal to Z1 plus Y1 plus alpha 1 E1 square by 2G plus losses. What are the losses? Friction loss and eddy loss. What is the friction loss here? The friction loss is SF bar, friction slope multiplied by delta x, because this is per meter, slope is per meter. And if you multiply with delta x, then you'll be getting your friction loss. So 1 by 2 into SF1 plus SF2 multiplied by delta x, you are going to get what is your friction loss. And SF obviously by using Manning's equation, n square v square by r power 4 by 3 or m square q square divided by a square r raised to 4 by 3 by using Manning's equation, which already you know. Okay. And if you refer the figure, we can see at section 1 Z1 bed slope, y1 is depth at section 1 and alpha 1 v1 square by 2g. HF is friction loss here. This is the eddy loss and this is going to be delta x Z2 plus y2 plus alpha 2 v2 square by 2g. Okay, so this was the energy, total energy for sections 1 and 2. Now, how we are going to use this procedure? And there is no rational method for estimating the eddy loss, but usually eddy loss is between a coefficient of eddy CE multiplied by alpha 1 V1 square by alpha 1 V1 square minus alpha 2 V2 square divided by 2G, and CE is the coefficient, and you can find the coefficient for expansion and contraction of the channel, because the channel may expand or it may contract all along the length. How it will be? So here, if the channel may be like this. This is the plan of the channel. The channel need not be uniform like this. Instead, the channel may be changing its cross section. So expansion, or either here it is contraction. Sometimes it can be expansion also, like this also. So it is plan view. It is plan view. You just assume this is a plan. So either it could be expansion or it could be contraction. For expansion and contraction, you have been, if it is no transition prismatic channel, then your CE is going to be 0. If there is a gradual transition or abrupt transition, gradual means 0.3, 0.1, abrupt means 0.8, 0.6. So these are the coefficients which are assumed for the contraction. As an alternative practice of accounting for eddy losses is to increase your Manning's CN by suitable small amount. This procedure actually simplifies the calculations in some cases. So if I am denoting the stage Z plus Y is equal to H and the total energy by capital H, I can assume the two sections 1 and 2 refers to the appropriate sections. So capital H is equal to small h. Capital H is nothing but total energy by H. Please remember here capital H is small h. Small h is your potential head or your head at the section depth, or you can say depth of the flow. Okay, so the capital H represents small h plus alpha v square by 2g, and you can say if this is, suppose I am taking two sections, this is the natural channel, let us assume this is section 1, this is section 2. So section 1, section 2, H2 is going to be H1 plus your losses, friction loss plus eddy loss. What is your H1 here? H1 is nothing but H plus alpha v square by 2g, because your H1 is going to be depth of the flow plus alpha v square by 2g is nothing but velocity head. So this is the specific energy. Suppose your datum is 0, then the specific energy becomes your energy of the fluid. Okay. If you are taking the bed of the level as datum, then you will have only the H and alpha. Or you can say specific energy you are representing in terms of capital H. So capital H is equal to small h plus alpha v square by 2g. Okay. Now H2 is equal to H1 plus HF plus HE. So friction loss, if you are adding the friction loss between the sections 1 and 2 plus eddy loss between the section 1 and 2, you are adding along with H2. Now what will be the total energy at section 2 section? Which energy will be higher? Either section 1 or section 2? Because you are adding the losses. You are adding the losses. Your head includes your addition of losses also. Okay, your addition of losses and eddy losses, friction losses has to be included along the, because there is no energy is neither created and it is not destroyed, and you are going to get whatever the energy available, because since there is no inflow and outflow from the discharge, that is a basic assumption, and hence you can take you can consider the H2 is going to be you can include your friction loss and your eddy losses. Okay. Now, so how you can solve the problem then? The problem can be stated that knowing your H1 and geometry of the channel. So now how it is going to be, let me draw it again. So here you can state the problem like this. Consider the two sections, two adjacent sections. Section 1 and section 2. And you know what is the H1 and geometry of the channel at section 1. Sorry, section 1 you may not know. So H2, suppose this is the downstream. You know what is your H2 and geometry of the channel is known at section 1 and 2, and you need to find out what is your H2. So H1 is nothing but y1 plus alpha v1 square by 2g. Here either y1 or h1, you can say h1. Okay, and this is h2 plus alpha v2 square by 2g. Now I know my h1, I know alpha v1 square by 2g, and I am going to find out what is my h2. And this is what you are going to achieve by standard step method. Okay. Now you have to select the trial value. How it is going to be done? So section 1, section 2, select a trial value of H2 and calculate your H2 after finding HF and HE. You know what is HF, HE, find out and then find your capital H2. Okay, and check whether equation is satisfied or not. What is that equation? Your energy equation. Your energy equation is satisfied or not. Just a minute. This is going to be your equation. H2 is equal to H1 plus HF plus HE. So that the H1 plus HF plus HE must be equal to your H2. So in this, on the basis of ith trial, maybe you can try as many number of by trial and error. You can change the value of H2. H2 can be found out by following the procedure. Okay, and let HE is the difference between the left and right hand side of the equation. What do you mean by that? This H2 minus of this. So H2 minus of this is going to be your HE, or the difference between the left and right hand side. This is H2 minus of H1 plus HF plus HE. And the object, what you are going to find out is to make HE, and it is y by changing the depth y2. Now if you are differentiating this HE by y2 with reference to y2 is depth at section 2. D by dy2 is equal to, what is this? Y2 plus z2 plus alpha 2 v2 square by 2g is nothing but, this entire portion is nothing but H2. And minus of this one, H1. Minus of this one is Z1 minus Y1 minus alpha 1 v1 square by 2g. This is minus h1. Then minus hf minus he. Minus hf is nothing but sf bar multiplied by delta x. So that is sf bar 1 by 2 into sf1 plus sf2 multiplied by delta x. And minus eddy losses c into alpha 1 v1 square by 2g into alpha 2 v2 square by 2g. So what is your ultimate aim? You need to vanish your error in the ith trial. So now you can differentiate the energy difference in energy, and with reference to y2 you are getting y2 plus 1 plus c into alpha 2 v2 square by different by 2g minus 1 by 2 delta x s of 2. Other parameters will become 0 because you are differentiating with respect to y2. y1 component becomes 0. So 1 minus of 1 plus c into this alpha 2 v2 square by 2g is nothing but in terms of Froude number you are putting. V square. What is your Froude number? I think you might be knowing the Froude number. V by
Hello, ma'am.
Cholupa.
Ma'am,
So now this 1 plus c into f2 square minus the, because this is nothing but your Froude number. Our Froude number is nothing but f2 square is equal to alpha 2 q square t2 by g into a2 cube. This is your Froude number. Okay, if you are squaring the Froude number, because v square by g into v by square root of gy is Froude number. Okay. Now if you are squaring, f square is equal to v square divided by g into y square. Now you are substituting for y you are substituting a by q t, a square by t. So you are getting alpha 2 q square t2 by g into a cube. Okay, because Froude number is going to be v sorry v by square root of gy. If I am squaring this, this is square, this v square by gy it will be, and y you are going to substitute the normal depth. Okay, so this is you are going to get, so v you are going to substitute q square by a square g into here q square g into a square into g into y. Again y I am going to substitute as y I am going to replace by a by t, because a is equal to y into t, cross sectional area, sorry, depth of the flow multiplied by top width. Okay, if I am replacing with this, then I will be getting q square t divided by a cube g, and one more parameter, because if you are including your alpha, kinetic energy correction factor. Is it clear? That is how your Froude number is like this. Actually Froude number is f is equal to v by root of gy, and you are substituting for v as well as your normal depth, and you are getting this. This is what you are going to substitute here now. Now your 1 minus of 1 plus c into f2 square, this alpha v2 square by 2g, then minus 1 by 2 delta x into differentiation of your s of 2 divided by dy2. Okay, now for a wide rectangular channel, I can take this ds of 2 by dy, because if the channel is wider, then your depth of the flow will be very less. If the channel is wider, okay, then dy of this dsf by dy is nothing but this sf is nothing but friction slope. We are substituting the friction slope, n square q square divided by y power 10 by 3. So this could be 3.33, because why 10 by 3? You are taking only the depth and you are taking wider rectangular channel. So this can be 3.33 into sf into y, and substituting back, you will be getting differentiation of your sf2 by dy2. Substitute back here, and you are getting dhe by dy2 is delta he by dy2, and delta y will be chosen in such a way that delta he will be equal to he. Okay, now your back substituting, will be getting delta y2 will be minus he divided by, because delta he you have substituted by he, so this becomes delta he. Now delta y2 you bring it to the left hand side. Now you will be having delta he divided by 1 minus of 1 plus CE into F2 square plus 1.67 SF2 delta square x into divided by R2. R2 is hydraulic mean depth. Okay. So this is going to be your delta Y2. So the negative sign denotes that delta Y2 is of opposite sign to that of HE. So between the energy losses, delta Y2 is of negative sign. So if the calculations are performed in the downward direction, as it is in case of supercritical flow, and the third term in the denominator will be negative. So you the procedure is you can see the procedure, same procedure in the example, then it will be more clear. Let me see the example problem now. Put the check on. Given?
Yeah. In the office.
I think we'll continue the problem in the tomorrow's class. If I start the problem, I may not be able to finish it because you have to go by step procedure. It will take a lot of time. So I'm stopping here, and we will do this in the next class. Tomorrow's class, we'll finish this problem of standard step method. Standard step method, you may feel somewhat tedious compared to direct step. Direct step method is somewhat easy. Standard step method, since you are going step by step, and you are finding depth of flow at each and every section, okay, by trial and error, so it takes lot of computations. Standard step method, please careful while doing the computations. Okay, so we will continue this in the next class. For tomorrow's class, I am going to stop here. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.